Alright, so this is a suggestion via a donation. The name of the video is Inside Hong Kong's Cage Homes. This is coming from the channel Vox. Let's check it out.
It's more expensive to live in Hong Kong than anywhere in the world.
I know, guys, I know we
Hong
complain
Kong
about our
has been ranked
values,
the
guys.
least affordable housing market in the world 8 years in a row, and by a long shot. Housing prices are now almost 20 times more than annual income. That
I think ours right now is like 6.
means that a household making $50,000 US would, on average, be looking for a house that costs $980,000.
Right.
And it's getting really bad. Hundreds of thousands of residents now squeeze into incredibly small apartments, most of them no bigger than a parking space.
So these are cage homes, which basically fit one person and their belongings, and they basically stack these in a room in order to fit as many people as they can in the room.
Okay, give us the price of that room, bro, please.
And yet the price per square foot for these smaller houses just keeps shooting up. I visited these homes to try to piece together an explanation for this trend, and to meet the people who are being squeezed by the world's least affordable real estate market.
Oh my. Cage homes? Living like animals, bro. Let's get it, guys.
There are now tens of thousands of people in this city who live in spaces that are between 75 and 140 square feet. For some perspective, a typical parking space in the US is 120 square feet.
Right.
所以好困難，始終呢度係黑暗嘅，即係一入嚟到唔見唔到光㗎嘛。
Do not show their faces.
One of the most common strategies for small space living is this subdivided house model. This big space that's been divided up into a bunch of tiny little living spaces. These people basically have room for a bed and a table and a few belongings.
有啲就條理，有啲就求求其其咁樣。嗰啲唱 K 啊嗰啲啦，同埋啲水啊嗰啲藥品啊，
Gotta make sure you have the karaoke, guys. Absolutely.
What makes this model work is that they have a bigger communal space where they're able to have their cooking and their washing in the bathroom open to everyone so that they can save space and save money in their actual living quarters.
Guys, I'm gonna go ahead and say what I say all the time when we see situations like this. It may be better to not live there, right? You do not have to stay in the same place you were born in, right? It may just be time to go, guys. But I do understand the reason why they're honestly in Hong Kong is because they don't want to deal with mainland.
So this is the kitchen for this space, which is shared by 4 families.
因為每個人生活習慣唔一樣咯，成日都因為好少嘅事都會有摩擦咯，唔 OK 咯，即係好多嘈交咯。
I imagine.
The tempting explanation here for why the prices are so high is land scarcity. You know, 7.5 million people crammed into this series of islands. It's going to drive up the prices. The same story in a lot of places that have run out of land that are in high demand. Think San Francisco or New York City. Okay, this might be the story in New York City and San Francisco, but is Hong Kong actually running out of land? Let's see what the drone says about this.
Okay, buildable land.
Flying over Hong Kong, you start to see that while yes, there's a very dense urban landscape, there's also a whole lot of green space.
It's not as usable as you think it is, or we would think it is.
Government land use data says that 75% of the land in Hong Kong is not developed. Now, some of that is mountainous and rocky and not easy to build on, but certainly not all of it. So I posed this question about density to 2 experts. One is a Hong Kong citizen and the other is a 30-plus-year resident. Both are advocates for better urban design.
Okay.
Are high prices primarily the result of land scarcity?
No. No.
Corruption?
No. There's a land use issue because lots of land is being inefficiently used or conserved.
The problem isn't the shortage of land. The problem is bad land management.
Land use, land management.
Oh, look at the map, guys. It's all over the place. Like, it's seriously all over the place. They need to separate all of this. But, you can't tell people how to run their country.
What experts are referring to is that of all the land in Hong Kong, only 3.7% is zoned for urban housing. But it's not because of mountains, it's because of policy. And this gets to the heart of the explanation of why more and more people are living in homes the size of parking spaces.
The first thing to note, if you want to understand the real explanation, is that the government owns all of the land in Hong Kong.
Right.
Well, all except for this one church that the British built here when they ruled it back in the 1800s, and it kind of just escaped the whole government owns all the land thing.
So the government owns all the land, and it leases it out to developers, usually for 50 years, in an auction process, where the highest bidder gets the contract. With such scarce and valuable land zoned for housing, real estate companies, more and more of them coming from mainland China with lots of money, will duke it out in these auctions, and will end up at an astronomically high price.
Like this plot of land that was just leased out for $2.2 billion, which set an all-time record for the most expensive land ever leased by the Hong Kong government to a developer.
I mean, look at the placement of the land also, though.
So the way that government zones and leases land is the first part of this.
The other part of this explanation has a lot to do with taxes. If you're the type of person who navigates away from this video when you hear the word tax policy, stay with me here. This place loves low taxes. It's a great place to do business because the corporate tax is low, no value-added tax, no sales.
Guys, everything's kind of coming together. Like a lot of the nation states that we have how about this? A lot of the states that we have in the United States of America, some of them have like no income tax. And if you notice, they're going to get their money somehow, bro. Like HOA in some of these places that have no income. Bro, listen, you might as well just tax my income for that. All right. I'm sorry. I'm not giving the terrible HOA $2,000 extra a month just because you don't want to do income tax. And a lot of these places do have these like secondary and like tertiary types of taxation.
Sales tax, free market economics, low taxes, that's embedded into the fabric of this place. Okay. Look at all those low taxes doing their work, building up those skyscrapers, slapping on those bank logos all over town.
Okay, but so I do like low taxes though, but I don't want to live in a place like, if that makes any sense. I have like a virtual address in a place, let's say, that has no taxes and just literally not live there, live somewhere else.
The government isn't getting revenue from taxes. It really needs it from another source. And in the case of Hong Kong, that source is land sales.
There's a lot of the government revenues here driven by land revenues. And it's about 30% of government public financing income.
The government of Hong Kong can lease out this land to developers at astronomical prices, make a ton of revenue from that, and not have to raise taxes on the people or the corporations that reside here. And they still proudly retain their ranking as the freest economy on earth.
Okay.
What this means is that the Hong Kong government doesn't have a huge incentive to free up more land and lower prices. But while this current arrangement of bidding and auctions is really good for revenue for the government and good for the market generally,
yeah, but not for the people.
It's not super good for the people of Hong Kong.
Not at all. Not at all. Don't live there, bro.
因為我仔係過度嘅 A 仔嚟㗎嘛，所以空間對於佢嚟講少咗少少，空氣唔流通嘅，對我身體都唔好嘅。
Look at the conditions, guys.
Of all the small spaces, this is easily the most cramped. These are coffin homes. Did I ask?
Coffin homes. Okay, wait, hold on. All right. So homes that are smaller than the average, common, typical American parking space. Then now we have coffin homes, and they look to be stacked on top of each other. And,
Just a quick question about your living space.
How much?
一個人都啊，多個人都唔得。呢度一個月咧，呢個位就係2100蚊。住咗3餐大約年幾2年啦，喺香港
How much do they pay?
The government is slowly working on this problem. Year after year, new policies come in that are meant to fix this, but they're slow to change, mainly because they have an incentive to keep the status quo as it is.
Out here at this industrial complex in Hong Kong, I met with a guy named Eric Wong, a local inventor and businessman who has seen a business opportunity in the midst of this space crisis.
Guys, really quickly, get ready for this. I got the numbers. All right. Listen, so the average home price in Hong Kong is 1.28 million. All right. And then the average tiny or nano home, that's similar to what we just saw here, where they're basically splitting up rooms in two and then saying you have that one. That's $500,000. Okay. But the average cage home rental is from $230 to $300 US. And that will be the size of a parking space. So you can for a parking space in Hong Kong, $300 a month. And that's the only affordable option.
Eric grew up in Hong Kong and has been thinking about small space living for a long time.
其實喺我幾歲嘅時候，第一個 capsule 點樣嚟呢？我係屋企買咗一個雪櫃，一個新雪櫃又有個紙皮箱，咁我就戒咗啲窗門玩。
Oh, it has Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
His capsules come in 1 or 2 person sizes and are meant to provide a more efficient and hygienic version of the cage and coffin homes, all at a relatively low price.
呢啲款式咁啊喺國內啦，我哋買到係唔使3000蚊一個探床，咁啊基本上你去 IKEA 買張床都會貴過。
Okay, yeah, but you only buy the IKEA bed one time versus this where you're paying this monthly, most likely, because I highly doubt they're selling all of this for that price.
Down here,
and I mean all of this because now I'm basically looking at the standards now, so we need to kind of keep it at that level.
There's a little box where you can put all your valuables. Okay, so there's mirror lights, there's reading lights.
But these capsules, as innovative as they are, really just put a band-aid on this housing problem. They don't serve as a real solution.
No.
A real solution would need to come from something that's much less profitable and fun to look at. Government policy and zoning reform that will free up more land and put the interests of the people above the interests of the market.
Right.
But until the government can make that happen, people in Hong Kong will continue to squeeze into smaller and smaller spaces.
Bro, the government is literally, listen, there's not a single government on this planet that is anything without its people, bro. And like, if the people are suffering like that, I mean, how about this? I don't even know if they're really suffering. All right, they could just be completely used to this. Obviously, the woman was saying that there's no like light. That obviously bothers her. I guess we need to figure out exactly how much space does the human actually need. I think that's probably a better question. Do we need as much space as we have in the average home in the United States of America? Probably not. A little excessive, right? If we compare it to many other nations, it's a little excessive. Like for example, in the United States of America, the house that I live in is a little over 3,200 square feet. And in Spain, it's around 10,000 square feet. But it's a different type of setup where my house in Spain is majority garage. Again, I live in like a very small village, and the house kind of used to be like there used to be like a mechanic shop in the downstairs. It has like what's a 30-foot garage door. It's extremely wide. Could fit like 10 cars in it, and that's most of the space of that 10,000. The majority of that space, actually. I think the living quarters in that house is maybe 1,700, but it's 4 floors. Spanish living is, it's different, guys. But it's just like we need to figure out exactly how much space the average human needs. I think once you can figure that very specific thing out, we can then come up with some type of solution to like a lot of these mega cities that are cramming people into these cage and coffin homes or nano apartments, guys. Because this is, it sounds crazy to me hearing it, right? It may sound crazy to you, but it may not be crazy to them. That's what I'm saying. I think we need to probably study how much space does a person actually need to feel comfortable, right? But all right, listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day and enjoy your day.